All right, so just to thank God for the equilibrium. Thank God for the equilibrium, and really biting some type of modesty and quote unquote humbleness, and minding the etymology, because it's not that it's good or bad, but there's just tricks in the matrix, layerings of tricks, contexts of tricks, accumulations of tricks, buildups in the flesh and in the paint of quote unquote sentient consciousness, original open source or whatever. There, where people themselves can become literal tricks, right? On their surface level mental consciousness, demons don't know they're demons in the Kali Yuga of things, right? So besides the tricks in whatever form or context they come in, sidestepping to the real gratitude and what do you call that? I guess just a gratitude that's beyond the mind, right? A gratitude where, what am I trying to say here? There's a particular gratitude that's just like we take life for granted, right? We take the good things in life for granted, and people who are just who hide in their own ways to try to, I guess masquerade their own toxic consciousness. They they're in a they're in a legion where they want to masquerade their toxic consciousness due to the fact that I guess they're just trying to get a one up in a different way. But I'm not trying to get too ranty. I'm not trying to get too ranty. Like I don't know why I just want to come on here to be serious with the professional career, right? And be but still like in a spiritual balance, still be free and quote unquote creatively playful, right? So there's a balance, as I've said in the past, where I'm gonna slap on a beat right now. Um, where there's a creative balance and there's a professionalism, and that could get extorted, right? That could get exploited in the Kali Yuga, because within the Kali Yuga, what we keep forgetting and without the reminders, the Kali Yuga, it's a lack and an absence of some original real fairness within the mechanics of the dark matrix, right? Respectively. So within the mechanics of the dark matrix, it's like a collection of godheads or gods within a certain region of time, different yugas, quote unquote, four yugas, right? And I'm just casually reiterating it. I'm like, it's always like the soul has always known the yugas, right? And I'm not trying to dock anybody. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. But if we let the collective confusion get the best of us, then that collective confusion will have some type of what do you call that? What's that word I'm looking for? Um, it will have more ordinance, right? It will have more quote unquote energetic dominance. It will have more diplomacy, right? If there's more confusion collectively, not good, not bad, then that confusion on the esoteric science level, it will permeate and it will have more ordinance in the collective field, right? But honestly, like confusion could be used for good or for bad. There's a need to know reason, and if people want to justify it with a toxic reason or not, that's up to them. A higher spiritual mechanics will still do its thing, right? Aside from the hard knocks of life, right? So without me being too ranty, I want to do a song right here. I'm gonna be really quick with this video. I just want to do a fucking song real quick, and and then maybe later today I'll do some astrology and how, like, 2 week to 2 week cycles there's a buildup of moon energy, and then there's like a kind of like a waxing and waning, and there's like a quote unquote a subtle like discharge of the buildup of the moon energy, and then the moon energy kind of just like going back into the ocean. It's like the moon is something like metaphorically, it's like a wave, coming to make something, um, make a container to be filled and charged with energy. And then when the moon's waxing to waning or waning to waxing, whatever the one is like fleeting after the charge of the moon, then the wave pulls back in, right? And after the wave pulls back in, um, the energy is kind of like receding back, right? So within the moon having its 2 week charge of 2 weeks charge, 2 week fleeting, receding mintness, if that's even a word, receding mintness, receding mintness. So I don't know. The English language is also evolving and developing on its own accord too. So receding mintness, and obviously, I peep the pums. Maybe I might need a mint, right? I might need a fucking mint. And so I got a couple songs here I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk about the astrology later, but one thing we have to understand about the astrology is there's a fixed precession of the astrological clock that has fixed seasons and cycles and containers respectively, original open source underground, before before the peeping birds heard it in the backdrop, and now they're just flowing and within their own shit, um respectively. There's a real fixed, mechanism, different mechanism diagram outlines where there's a fixed transits where mechanisms are doing their orbits within their micro orbits in accordance to the other orbits. And within the time that we're in right now, aside from the Kali Yuga and the Golden Age, just the astrology being a fixed clock, as the moon is charging up from its 1 to 2 week charge and then its 2 to 4 week discharge, energetically speaking, the moon is getting aspected and provoked from where the other planets are. So as the moon is charging up within its 2 weeks, and it's provoking certain titillations of where it's transiting from the start of the new moon to the full moon, and that new moon Taurus scene is Taurus to Scorpio, second to eighth house, transits. So the new moon, cinema movie is saying, within the musical bank of the celestial spheres and the original open source of things, um, is saying, within the moon charging, the microcosmic orbit of the moon is being provoked by the other planets, particularly in the time frame of, you know, every other year when the moon's in Taurus, the outer planets and the other planets, they're going to aspect differently. So not every year is the same, right? So since not every year is the same, the moon has been charged up also with the aspects that are like influencing it and pulling the background environment, right? So as the background environment is shifting, the moon, every new moon in Taurus or every new moon in any month or zodiac sign, it's all going to be different per the year, and every year is going to be different per the aspects, right? So since all the aspects are provoking the moon has been provoked from Taurus to Scorpio in a particular way, where like the other planets have had significant conjunction aspects to pull the moon and aspect the moon for how the moon is charged. So within all of that, there was a significant conjunction within, like, Pisces and Aries constellations, right? There's like a whole Saturn Neptune mix within there. And within the Saturn Neptune mix being in that certain region of Pisces and Aries, that was aspecting the new moon in Taurus to Scorpio. So the moon was also building from Taurus to Scorpio, while Saturn and Neptune were in such a field of the Pisces and Aries constellation. So that Pisces and Aries constellation, that solidified, kind of like, what do you call that? I don't I don't want to say the word jailbait, but that kind of like what's that word called? That kind of like esoteric penitentiary vibe. You know, Saturn, the esoteric penitentiary vibe. Because honestly, in some real Matrix shit, not good, not bad. Even in the waking, walking life, we're still kind of like not good, not bad. We're still in different layers, not good, not bad. We're still quote unquote imprisoned. Mind the etymology, right? Because the words could confuse you too as well. So mind the etymology. So not good, not bad. In the flesh suit, the soul is imprisoned in the physical body, not good, not bad, mind you. So there's different layers of quote unquote imprisonment, mind you, mind the astrology. And I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be derogatory with the words either. So mind your comprehension. So I'm just trying to say like the moon's buildup of the energy, we're being provoked on how we're going towards how our sovereign energy could be getting cheated or not cheated within how we harvest our own personal energy and how the collective earth needs moon energy. You know, you could even say the ocean could be more or less, you know, to some percentage, 33%, around 66%. You could say the ocean is synonymous with the moon. Because if the moon is more or less infusing the ocean and how the ocean is having some type of magnetic push and pull, then to some degree, the ocean is to some degree the moon energies on an intellectual, sober level, right? So since the ocean could be synonymous with moon energy and the planet Earth that we're all the fucking humans are hyping on is on a fucking ball of the ocean, then 66% of how we fucking feel is moon energy and emotion energy on the surface level forefront. And that ocean energy is esoterically being jailbaited by the other planets, right? So that ocean energy, that esoteric feel good energy, and I hope the speaker could fucking catch this, is being quote unquote esoterically jailbaited by the other energies. But on the surface level, the most concerning energy is the energy in this moment of how we feel on the esoteric science degrees is the moon. Aside from everyone's fucking spiritual jargon, rhetoric, hype poo, we're talking about the nitty gritty esoteric science of keeping up with the moon, how we have different karmas and how the different fates and the godheads are pulling and dictating and controlling that. And then us climbing up to have a micro control to be more sovereign and more liberative if we're esoterically, spiritually responsible to uphold what we are, right? So we're trying to uphold what we are without spewing just fucking, you know, old spiritual rhetoric respectively, because we're 2025, it's advanced intelligence put to the test, not just fucking fleeting with it anymore. So what am I really trying to say? The ocean is synonymous with the moon energy. The moon energy it has quote unquote a micro significant orbit that is impacting our human body and our micro moon energy, our micro ocean energy. We have to keep up with that moon, and that moon energy is being provoked by seasonal environment amplitudes of the zodiacal constellation placements that have certain elemental temperamental provocations, and that moon is having a certain, you know, reset its starting point from Taurus to Scorpio as it's being aspected and provoked by the other planets, making the moon have a certain pressure and release of how we could, you know, how we could balance that harvesting energy, or how we could get lost in the fucking esoteric shit show whirlwind play of just the energies being in their own context of chaos, and somehow you falling out of alignment perhaps with energetic karmas, and you falling out of alignment with energetic karmas aside from the surface level matrix. That means your mood will be offset, right? So I'm not even trying to be ranty. I wanted to come on here to do a fucking song, and for some reason I'm like ranting, but like, and I didn't get to read the other astrology notes the other day, so I'll come back later today to do a more formal astrology report. Right now, I can do a casual raw astrology report of how we came from the new moon in Taurus, and now the moon has had has had an upsurging charge orbital cycle of now it's in Scorpio. So the new moon background scenery is, coming in second house, third house, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth house flavors. So the moon having harvesting charge energies in starting from the new moon scene of Taurus, how to find matrix stability within the within a perfect quote unquote perfect harmony of esoteric rituals, being kind of like, I feel like Taurus season is low key like it's low key like secret paganism, right? It's like, because it's like it's the cow, it's the bull, right? The bull is exalted, right? The bull is being used for so many different things, not good, not bad. The bull is just, and how the bull has been used in ritual at this point in the Kali Yuga, it's not good, not bad. It just is what it is on how we had to survive and come out of darkness, because within the 4 yugas, we had to work with what we had and the experiment of the dark yuga, right? So we're coming out of Kali Yuga, not good, not bad. We're coming out of the dark yuga, and for some reason, majority, 95 to 98% of collective consciousness, they're confused, not good, not bad, in dark, confused intelligence and consciousness. And now we're in a particular shift where the Kali Yuga is switching out to something of a quote unquote golden age. But obviously that's subject to, the individual. And I speak about that in depth and detail in the underground of how like it's a particular keen subjectivity, but I'm not going to go into the golden age because I've been doing this on the underground background for a long time now, respectively. I'm trying to bust out a beat here. I'm trying to bust out a song here. So I'm not trying to grow 2 more heads where there has to be a wise observer, where we all have to learn how to obviously listen and not speak, right? Because obviously if we don't learn how to just observe and modestly be more listening, then I'm not saying that I'm not a good listener or a bad listener. I'm just saying, there's a time for all of us to speak our piece, spit our piece. And then there's a time where we have to respectively listen within whatever kumbaya tribal circle you're in. Because obviously I've been to many events too. I've been to ecstatic dance events too. Like I've been to I've had my own ups and downs within my rolling hills of my life, right? Where the human design says, I enjoy being, I enjoy being alone more so. But obviously, just because I enjoy being alone, that doesn't mean I could still go out. My style is, the people who have whatever background agendas that are real beyond artificial intelligence could, peep game, whatever background agendas did so they could good or bad within whatever toxic intention or not toxic intention, whatever background agendas did so they could isolate me. They actually, they put me on a spiritual path more so, but I'm not going to get overly out of balance with just, hermit in the cave, no society. I'm not trying to do that either. I'm just flowing with the balance beyond the fucking human mind and beyond the rhetoric, right? So what am I really trying to say? The people with whatever real, authentic, artificial intelligence beyond all the artificial intelligence that lacks real, true, pure, raw, fucking perfect authenticity, that real AI could see what background agendas were done to me, not good, not bad, casually saying that. And why do I say that? So I could see okay, I'm polarized in a certain way where I'm just, now they put me on a spiritual path by just being me, and me being and now it's up to me not to be polarized with just the spiritual path. After the spiritual Buddhist Zen, Dogyong, Chogyong, Xingyang, Bling Blong, Schlinglong, after the Dojin, monk goes into the cave, whatever, remnants and degrees of enlightenment it has, it still needs to come back no matter what, you know, subtle arrogance it has found. It still needs to come back to the surface level society to fucking participate with general interdependence, right? Because if it doesn't participate with general interdependence, then that general interdependence is gonna quote unquote attack, end quote, the polarized, you know, being, where it's just, you know, thinks it could subjugate itself to just spiritual polarities while being on a material world. So there's fine details that 95% of polarity consciousness misses. So it's just, this whole fucking metaphysical shit show is just ironic as fuck, because we're complaining at what's helping us, and that's fucking retarded, and it's fucking bullshit. And if I don't say it like that, then ironically even more you're not going to get it. So y'all could hate me in fucking ignorant retardation because I'm fucking upholding the original solution. So shame on you energetically, mind you. You know, original quality, underground 2017 respectively, and I'm trying to do a beat. So the new moon, second house, it's like it's Taurus season is like secret paganism, right? So the new moon, this whole fucking 2 weeks ago, and time be speeding up or slowing down. I think that's subjective too, but it seems like time is like, and I've talked about this in the backpack, but it really does feel like within the past 2 years, it feels like time is speeding up. So what the fuck does that mean? Time is speeding up. Fuck, that means a whole lot of fucking shit. Because if fucking time is speeding up, then 100 years from now, it could be tomorrow, right? Quote unquote. So if 100 years could be now tomorrow and you don't have your spiritual bearings intact, then you're gonna fucking, there's gonna be an esoteric wipeout, right? And that means an esoteric timeout. So if you get an esoteric timeout, who knows how you're going to be in some type of purgatory world? You know, that's kind of like, you know, slightly in and out of samsara, right? Purgatory is slightly in and out of samsara. And obviously the original Godheads are before all of the traditions, right? They're before the bias of every culture and tradition, every religion. The original Godheads are slightly before all, because they were the ones that, they were the original consciousness energies that surmounted the original consciousness before the religions. This is what we're fucking talking about. So the polarities are, maybe just because I'm spiritually ahead and I'm materially behind, I don't give a fuck. That's just what it is. And that's what the fates are fucking doing. And if you want to fuck around with the fates, y'all can fuck around with the fates. I'm still here fucking doing a different balance. You want to fucking hate the fucking gratitude? Then do that shit, motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck if you hate gratitude at all, motherfuckers. So let me do a beat. New moon in Taurus is like, you know, it's like, it's either you, new moon in Taurus is like, it's either you got it or you don't kind of shit. Because Taurus is going to call you out, right? Taurus is going to be like, your shit is cringe. And if they don't tell you up front, they're going to fucking tell their circles, right? They're going to tell their circles and the word is out. Taurus season is like, the word is out and we're making something of it. We're putting it in the paint of the fucking software, right? So Taurus season is the word is out, and Taurus season is you either got it or you don't. Working with and start this from the beginning, because I'm like I'm formal like that, you know. Because but obviously, like I understand there's a formal process in life, but we all have to agree that we all have a raw self, you know, beyond all the nations. We all have to suspend our judgments, and we have to realize from our raw self, we need some type of formality so the raw self could be kind of pictured up and divvied up, right? Taurus season. So Taurus season is perfect for taking all of the fucking raw shit from Aries season and depositing it on this paradoxical conclusion in Taurus season. Because Taurus season is, it's either you got it or you don't. In the new moon, starting from the earth, the unconscious, the Scorpio is there, the Pluto, the Mars, and the Uranus, the fallen Uranus, right? Because if everything's backwards, then the exalted Uranus you know, Aquarius season is like the start of like exalted Uranus to fallen Uranus, because we all know what happens with Uranus. There's some type of esoteric castration there. You know, may all the original Godheads heal that shit and understand that shit and see that's just a micro story within the surface level material solar system. So obviously we understand that. So within Uranus and the different yugas going through a different as above zodiac sign, then Aquarius season is, you know, Uranus had a certain rise in exaltation, and then going backwards from Pisces, Aquarius to Aries, then from Aquarius to Scorpio, Uranus had some type of falling too. So there's a particular esoteric falling in Scorpio season, right? Because Scorpio season, the exaltated rulers are Pluto, Uranus, and Mars. And in Taurus season, the Earth, the unconscious self, a certain type of a context of our shadow self. The shadow is unconscious, subconscious, or unknowing, right? Unconscious, subconscious, or just some type of like quote unquote fallen consciousness is the shadow. So the unconsciousness, original open source. So the unconsciousness is a part of the shadow, right? Respectively, it's we don't know what we're doing with the physical body, right? So within the sun field being in the Taurus constellation, the unconscious self, the raw physical body within the start of the new moon. The start of the new moon is Taurus season. You either got it or you don't. And behind the scenes, Ernest in maybe his fallen state, respectively, but it's all like nuanced too, because nothing's ever like black and white too. Everything has its unique ups and downs, right? So since everything has its unique ups and downs, you know, that we all could have some type of unique level of recuperation, right? Because we're all in like, the predecessors say the 3D matrix it's some type of unique rehab center as well, right? So within the rehab center, we all have a unique recuperation state, right? Within the 3D matrix, we have a chance, aside from the proxy wars and the war channel of life, there's a war channel of life. There's also, if we get good karma to go outside of the war, we can recuperate ourselves for whatever fucking reason, and then decide to go back into the war narrative on Earth. And that's all up to you. But why or why not should we go to the war narrative, or how should we participate in the war narrative? More specifically, how we should do it, or why should we do it? It's so we can balance the future. Because if we don't participate in the quote unquote war narrative, politically speaking, end quote, then we're not gonna, the deeper esoteric purpose is gonna go over our head, because that war shit is affecting the present and the future. And if we don't have a political say in that, respectively, maturely and professionally, then our future is at stake. So all the people like just doing just the polarity of entertainment and they're dismissing the war, that's a proxy karma where they're just kind of being freeloaders, because the people who are sacrificing themselves esoterically to stabilize the future, while other people are just like copping out on some shit and jocking out on some shit, and they're just like, and I'm not even judging you. I'm a bigger picture person, you know. But as they're doing that shit, they're not even seeing like how to fucking, how to bring a particular type of stability towards the future, right? And if you're not trying to put good karma in the future, then esoterically that's just on some freeloader shit, like respectively in between the lines. And if you can't see that shit and you want to hate me for spitting some truth, I don't give a fuck either, because I'm just pure truth. And if you want to hate me, it's petty, it's fucking immature, it's stupid, it's fucking retarded. Because this is the end, I'm pointing to the essence of solutions for comfort, which you fucking thrive and fucking fiend and desire for. And if you want to fight that, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Some of y'all, and 95% in the Kali Yuga confused consciousness, some of y'all are dumb motherfuckers. And I say that with love. I say that with love. But that's the Kali Yuga, though, that's the Kali Yuga of things. That's the Kali Yuga of things, right? So the thing is, we're shifting we're shifting out of the Kali Yuga, and how we shift out of the Kali Yuga is low key everything, right? And so it's how, so pause. It's how we're shifting out of the Kali Yuga. We recognize that we all have some type of fault. We all have some type of responsibility. We all have some type of play within how the collective war is playing out, right? Because obviously there's many, many wars, but in the end of it all, there's just one war. And I've spoken about this in the past. It's organic consciousness versus anti-organic consciousness. And that takes out all the fluff out of all the wars. Number one intelligence in the universe, and y'all fuckers know it. And that could be proven. And I'm just saying that because like I've been doing this for a long time. But what I'm trying to say here is, and I'm not trying to, and ironically, I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm just like, I just discern, I just differentiate a lot of shit, you know? I just have a different discerning flavor, right? Not good, not bad. So there's another thing I wanted to say. But if we want to like, you know, what do you call that? If we want to, God damn it. If we want to like subsidize ourselves, what is subsidize? Let's see what Google has to say. What the fuck does punk ass? I'm not gonna say the Google. I'm like, but I'm just flowing with truth. But what does Google have to say with what's the definition of subsidize? Obviously, I read a lot of books, so the words kind of just fart out. And here's a new meme you could put. The next day is kind of like a fart being passed. Tomorrow is like and this is me just coming up with random meme shit. Meme malicious, meme malicious, meme atrocious, meme amacious, meme menacious, meme menacing-acious. Yo, abomination in this motherfucking new nation. Recall all that lost data. Phone me one time. Subsidize. So here's a new meme I'm coming up with. I didn't want to post it because I don't want to fucking kill the flow of my feed post. Not that my feed post is anything. It's just whatever. But I wanted to make a new meme where, like, you know, you could look at as tomorrow as passing farts. You know, because like within the farts that you pass, you never know how they're gonna sound, smell, or impact others. You know, so tomorrow could be metaphorically akin to passing gas or farts, because tomorrow you don't know how tomorrow is going to sound or hear. So tomorrow is kind of like farts being expelled, right? So that was a terrible meme. But tomorrow is kind of like, it's kind of like passing farts, because you don't know how it's going to sound or you don't know how it's going to sound or smell. So you don't know how tomorrow is going to sound or smell. So since you don't know how tomorrow is going to sound or smell, tomorrow is like passing farts. And I'm not trying to like, and I'm not trying to be funny all the time, you know. But that was horrid. It was horrid. I know. So let me go back. What's up, my Star Nagas? What's the definition of subsidize? I don't honestly. So like, so there's an intuitive understanding. Subsidize, not subsidiary, but they could be synonymous. So how did I understand intuitively subsidization? So I'm understanding subsidization as compartmentalizing on a micro level, but that's not necessarily the definition. So I'm looking for a different word. But subsidize, according to Google, is subsidize, support financially. So I butchered that meaning. So So I was wrong with the definition of subsidize. Okay. So subsidize means support financially. I would pay part of the cost of producing something
to reduce prices for the buyer. So I intuitively incorrectly used that word. I thought subsidize meant compartmentalize. Subsidize means to support financially, pay part of the cost. So that's a new understanding for me. So subsidize means support financially. So I'm barely connecting that dot. Mind me. So subsidize. Maybe in the future I could subsidize you, right? You might have a worthy organization going on, and my esoteric currency could be balanced where, and financially support doesn't necessarily have to be monetary in the esoteric level. It could just be kind of like teamwork and collaboration. So subsidizing metaphorically could mean collaboration, and in a more sophisticated definition, it could be, within just a different, German linguistic approach, because Germans be combining words. You could compartmentalize subsidizing, right? You could put it in a private stock, right? A private channel, a private folder, a private affair, right? So compartmentalizing subsidization is just some esoteric, sophisticated fashion, esoteric currency type of shit, original open source shit. So subsidizing, I'm just speaking out loud, it means support financially. So let me go back to the astrology, or maybe I'll just do the song. So we're all star nagas, respectively. What's a star naga? We're a star consciousness, 5-pointed consciousness. Somehow, predecessors have organized, the water being has formulated itself to be a star, and that water consciousness of a star format eventually got compartmentalized in different, passing seasonal temperaments of physiology, where the fleshly human is a collection and a cooperation of refined elements, the human being. So the predecessors are saying, respectively, human consciousness is on par with the hype of the AI, but for some reason the collective focus doesn't necessarily realize that, and that's okay, because 2025 is paradoxically young and old, right? It's young because there's just a lot of passing information that we're catching up on, but that passing information, some beings in the background field, they're caught up. They did their homework, right? So there's a paradox of we're behind and we're ahead, right? So there's different paradoxes. Check my even my online 2018 shit, but whatever, in due time, right? So 2025, there's a paradox. Paradoxically, subjectively, we're caught up and we're behind, right? So it's all subjective. It's all what battle you're choosing to fight. And if you're behind on some quote unquote natural, higher elemental shit, and you're not cooperating with those beings on the dying Kali Yuga, and the dying Kali Yuga is reformatting the whole Saturn mechanics itself, and the Saturn time age itself, the Saturn time dynamics, right? What do I mean by the time dynamics? Well, the matrix being an infrastructure, and that infrastructure receiving the conclusion of the time, and the conclusion of the time is reopening a whole new opening to a time. So as the Saturn infrastructure is getting rehauled, also around the Saturn infrastructure, the time beyond Saturn is getting rehauled. So Saturn double is getting rehauled because it's concluding. There's just different particular alignments within alignments that are happening, right? And for me to simplify it for real, a different essence of simplification and pure simplification and true simplification that's uprooting, anti-simplification. Because obviously you hear billionaires rhetoricalizing the shit out of simplification, but they don't even know like real esoteric sources of simplification. So there's a nuance of just like da consciousness, right? There's just a nuance of that da consciousness that my keen intelligence sees it, and that's not good, not bad. So let me do a beat, let me do a song, or let me finish the astrology Taurus season, new moon, you know, secret paganism. We started the moon cycle, secret paganism, right? Taurus. Then after Taurus, it's like, let's fucking broadcast the shit out of, you know, this whole fucking, you know, wild, dramatic, all of these different cosmic stories and artificial stories. Let's just amplify the shit out of it all, and let's have unique dramatic narratives, respectively. Gemini. Or let's just go with the flow of dramatic narratives and maybe like try to like pretty it up, right? And pretend we're not with it, but we know it's there, you know, and let's make it look pretty, right? Some freaky Gemini shit, right? So Taurus, but I love all the signs, you know. I love all the signs. I'm just saying, like, you know, the energies. I'm not trying to pick on individual people. I'm just saying the energies could the energies are possessing us, right? So within the new moon movie, now we're at the full moon in Scorpio, right? Now it's like, you know, a certain quote unquote, you know, raw, like quote unquote, I don't want to say fallen earnest, but Scorpio could be quote unquote fallen earnest, but not necessarily overly fallen, but maybe could be. So it's a nuanced paradox, right? It's some fucking raw ass shit, respectively. Excuse my French. Toast. What the French toast? What the French toast? Why, wipe that but. What the French toast? What the French toast? Wipe that boo. Big booty. So within the moon, so 2025, the harvesting of the surface level ocean moon cycle, it went from Taurus to Scorpio. So now the ocean on the earth, it's being influenced by a Scorpio constellation, right? So that full moon is charged. It's in a charged place. The ocean has been charged within, you know, a certain type of concentration of celestial energies. The ocean is charged with celestial energies provoked by other planets. And that ocean has a full charge of celestial energies. That celestial energy of the ocean, it's affecting the earth, and we're all being hit with that oceanic energy, right? And that oceanic energy right now, the ocean on the earth, synonymous with moon energy, that ocean on the earth is in the Scorpio constellation, the house of raw earnest, Pluto and Mars, and internal Mars, right? So we're feeling just the ocean, the surface level ocean energy consciousness is being impacted by Scorpio and all the other aspects. So Scorpio energy is amplifying everything right now, right? So Scorpio energy is amplifying everything with the aspects of things, right? So like a couple days ago, like 5 to 10 to 15 days ago, there was a fatty conjunction that I didn't really get to speak about. There was a conjunction of Venus, Saturn, and Neptune in the cusp of Pisces and Aries, and I didn't get to speak about that, and I'll speak about that later of what that really meant. And I think I may have spoken about it, but right now there's a Saturn Neptune conjunction, and what that means is like you know, a secret forefather of consciousness, Neptune, he's overseeing and kind of like, you know, detailing, you know, the kind of some type of, you know, esoteric penitentiary consciousness. Saturn is like some type of technical esoteric penitentiary consciousness, and Neptune is kind of like Neptune is kind of like a secret abstract original narrative, right? Neptune, you could even say Neptune is some type of amphibian consciousness, respectively. So there's an abstract narrative, right? And there's another thing I wanted to speak about Neptune as well. I'll go back to it in the notes as well. But you could see Neptune as like an ancient narrative, and there's a different note on Neptune. I'll come back to it later. So the ancient narrative is conjuncting Saturn, right? So Saturn is like kind of like, now Saturn has like some type of like what do you call that? I don't want to say yard. I don't want to say yard duty because that'll be like I don't want to have like a monkey in the playground perspective. But ironically, that's what shit kind of is, right? But Saturn and Neptune conjunction, that's like, Pisces, Aquarius and Capricorn energies. So Pisces, Aquarius and Capricorn, that's like 12, 10, 11, 12. So it's just like the flow of esoteric winter, right? So within the flow of the esoteric winter, it's like, this is like experimental consciousness, right? Frozen alien species, Area 51, Nevada type of shit, right? Exalted, right? Neptune exalted in Pisces, right? So the outer aspects, they're influencing the harvest of the moon, right? So the moon is charging up its energies with the aspects, and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces cusping Aries, that kind of like shifted the moon's, uphill, upscale progression into how it's being charged more so. Like the moon is also being, like the full moon is also being more or less pulled from like a Saturnian, Neptunian consciousness from Pisces cusp Aries. So the new moon scene was Taurus, Gemini, and then Cancer. And then like a week ago, there's just subtle nuancing shifts within astrology that we could follow up on, but we don't have to, right? We don't have to. So the new moon movie was just like Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leos, Virgoans, Samoans, Shishloans, Liberians, and then Scorpions, right? So that was the new moon movie, right? That progression of the movie, it went from Taurus to Scorpio. So the esoteric background movie was the pagan shit, the ancient pagan shit being detailed in artificial consciousness, Taurus. Gemini, let's fucking broadcast and communicate the shit out of it regardless of what's happening, but still somehow be mindful of what's happening. After Gemini, Cancer, let's bring it to the father and the young mother, right? Maybe Cancer could be like, a certain, and I'm saying it generally, a certain father picks up a young maiden, and now they could invert things, right? And there was another note I was trying to talk about too, like not good, not bad. Everything could be inversions on inversions on inversions, not good, not bad. And what that means is, what that means is the inversions on inversions, not good, not bad, is like people just want to make their own way, right? And within people wanting to make their own way, they've made their own way so uniquely, it still resembles spirit source consciousness, but it's not good, not bad. It's found its way extremely opposed from source consciousness. So there was a particular example I wanted to bring when saying the reference paraphrase inversions on inversions on inversions, but I forgot the example, so excuse me. But generally things are inversions on inversions on inversions, and what's a good example of that shit? It's just pretty much it's just AI, right? Certain people using AI is a good example of what it means to have inversions on inversions on inversions. They're using God's pattern of the universe, and they're taking it and they're going anti-source, and they're making a solidified artificial creation while unconsciously replicating shit. Not good, not bad, but it could be though, right? Original open source. So after, start this from the beginning for full understanding. So after Cancer, Cancer could be like, some type of like, within the aspects of the water and the trines of water, there could be a marrying, there could be some type of maiden. There could be a maiden within Cancer, right? There's a maiden, there's a father and a mother serving each other, so they could have and focus on their own family, right? And they could settle on the beach, right? So Cancer is like young family life, young to wise father, and then the mother catching game, to a fatherly example, right? Because I look at Capricorn as the esoteric mother, and I look at Cancer as the esoteric father. But traditionally, in surface level astrology, they say Cancer is the mother and Capricorn is the father. I look at it as esoterically. I look at as Cancer as the young father, and I look at Capricorn as the young mother teaching, a young inheritor, right? A young unique inheritor. So Capricorn would be like the wise mother and her son that inherited some unique shit, right? So Capricorn is the mother, giving the inheritance to a unique son in a certain different time age progression, because we have to really, we can't sleep on that. We can't sleep. It's like we can't sleep on the Saturn shit, right? Because if we do, if the predecessors don't put us on game to the Saturn shit, then we're just gonna get fucking washed away, right? And we don't want that fucking shit. So I got a couple songs I want to fucking make. Excuse my French toast. But let me finish the astrology reading, the raw astrology reading, and then on another day I'll kind of formalize the astrology reading. So after Cancer, the new moon. So we're building up to the full moon, right? Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. The young father. Going out into like the professional world, the business world, to try to fucking see how the harvesting of the ocean moon consciousness could get in just the Kali Yuga, could get disarrayed or collected. Cancer, Cancer is this shit being collected properly, or are we recognizing how it's collected improperly, right? So like the Cancers, they're studying you, right? They're always watching you, right? The water signs, they're always watching. For some reason, it's like the water signs and the earth signs. And well, all the signs are their own unique observer, but it's like the water signs, they'll watch you to the point where they'll just fucking watch you so they could just charge themselves, right? And that's not good, that's not bad, right? But everyone's capable of that. But I'm just saying, like, so Cancer is like seeing how like energy could be collected properly or improperly, most respectively, and obviously keeping a careful eye on that. Cancer. So within the moon passing Cancer, we already passed that stage of harvest of the moon. So after Cancer, after probably settling into seeing, is this really fucking right? Cancer energy. Past the Cancer energy, after the Cancer energy, then we go into Leo. What is Leo all about? Leo is all about, I think Leo is all about kind of going to that main stage, right? Going to, just going on the adventure to a party, esoterically or non-esoterically, and going on the adventure and going to the party, more or less, right? More or less. Everything's subjective, right? And the other aspects will pull subjective individuals, because obviously there could be fallen beings, right, that are not using their energies, right? Because not all Leos are party people, right? But the energy could want you to do that, right? But the other aspects could block you, right? But the energy of Leo is, I would say Leo is like, trying to go to that adventure, to the party, but maybe, and then, the opposition of that is, the opposition might get the best of Leo, where Leo might have to just settle down and do some technical work, right? To not good, not bad, to assist the party more so, because their energy is to go, towards quote unquote, some type of main stage, right? But if they don't go to that main stage, then the Matrix got them, right? The Matrix got them. So after the moon going to Leo is like saying, the moon going to Leo is saying, did we make it to that main stage, right? Within the start of the Taurus, within the start of this final conclusion, right? Did we make it to our main stage? Are we being fulfilled within the consciousness of our inner child, Leo? So Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Cancer is like pause. Is this some proper shit, Leo? Are we going on the adventure, but we still have to do work because Saturn's always there in the backdrop in every new moon and full moon and every transit. There's always, but like, it's like Saturn's also opposing Leo because Saturn is Aquarius as well, right? There's fair share. Saturn has a fair share in Aquarius, and that's a different conversation of like the technical details of like original open source of like, the time span of a higher octave Aquarius. It can span, more over 2,000 years, right? So the moon is charging up to go from Taurus to Scorpio, and after Leo, then it goes to Virgo. Virgo is like, now it's like, fall back type of shit, fall in line, get in line, go to the cafeteria, get in line, hopefully be a decent citizen because we're going to judge the shit out of you, not good, not bad, and just, quote unquote be normal while we're the quote unquote most normal people, but we could also be the most, psychotic people, Virgo, right? but it's not necessarily like, that's not for all Virgos, I'm just saying like it could be, so there's a disclaimer. I'm not trying to like, I love the Virgos too. I think the Virgos are like, I think the Virgos are like one of the most diverse signs, right? Because first, second, and third decan Virgos, that mutable earth sign is spread out in such a like in such a way where it's like it's what do you call that? It's kind of like a mud pie, and I know that's a bad metaphor, but I feel like Virgo is kind of like a mud pie because third decan, I feel it's more of like a desert vibe, and then first decan Virgo, I feel like it's like a fire water vibe, right? Because first decan Virgo is finishing up Leo, and somehow Virgo will be over mental. They could also be watery because they're mutable as well within the mutable shit, right? So first decan, I feel like Virgo is like very diverse. I feel like Virgo is one of the most diverse signs because first, second, and third decan Virgos, they're way different. All the Virgos I met and them telling me their birthday. And then like, third decan Virgos are way different from first decan Virgos. So Virgo is like one of the most diverse signs respectively, but still y'all can be like overly judgmental and nitpicky, no judgment, ironically. And I still love y'all Virgos. But, so now I got to retitle this because this is raw astrology, right? So within that Virgo fucking moon transit, after the Virgo moon transit, then it's Libra. Then Libra is also kind of like, it's kind of like an anti-spiritual Virgo, right? It has its own like desert vibes, right? It has its own glittery pink desert vibes, right? Libra. So it's kind of like I feel like Virgo and Libra, they're like a unique, just a very unique opposition, right? They're very similar and very different. They're similar in the fact that they're both diverse and creative and they want it their way, and they're different in the fact that they're gonna approach their self, their quote unquote energetic, not good, not bad, selfish energies in different ways, right? So I think Virgo and Libra, they take the initiative to kind of like lead the pursuit to do a project in some type of unique organization, and they're going to do that per their sun ruler, right? So Libra and Virgo, I feel like y'all are like one of the most diverse signs respectively, and all the other signs, they're more fluid in the paint of their differentiation. And I feel like Virgo and Libra, they're more raw and abstract within the differentiation of the transits, right? Because the first, second, and third decan, they kind of switch up, right? And I might need to go to the bathroom. So So this is just so the ocean, so the moon ocean energy, it's just the surface level energy of how our moods are evolving. So the moon energy, it's how the mood is evolving in the paint of the human being. So it's funny how like majority of spiritual teachers miss that, right? People at Gaia not even scratching it until it's inspired particularly, right? And I'm not even trying to cap on y'all. I'm just trying to like have some authentic, perfect solution, even, right? Original open source. So that's the difference between me and y'all. And I maturely say that. So the thing is, it's like we're finally, as a collective consciousness, we're not sleeping on the moon anymore, right? And it's ironic as fuck because if we don't sleep on the moon, then we could actually enhance the feel good shit on a balanced level. Isn't that titty ironic? So the background energies, so the moon, from the new moon, a new esoteric, stage has been set. And now the stage, all the lights are on the stage board, right? From Taurus, the final conclusion of technical artificial details, new moon in Taurus. And now the ocean energy is charging that new moon stage. It's being amplified with Scorpio. So Scorpio is the final lighting amplification of the new moon story, right? So raw Uranus, internal Mars, and a nuanced Pluto, because Pluto has a differentiation as everybody else does. Because obviously an individual could be like, well, I'm Pluto, and like so many people could say we're all like we all have the Pluto energy is inside everybody, right? And that theme is to be embarked on, right? So since the Pluto theme is to be embarked on, even Pluto on the low key back is being amplified. So things could be taken away from you, not good, not bad, but they can be given back, right? That's just the Scorpio of it, right? The Scorpio is like, we're gonna feel angst based on someone's gonna take something from you, and now internal Mars, raw Uranus, and nuanced Pluto is gonna feel a type of way, and that energy is gonna plant a dark seed and it's gonna fester, and that dark seed that's festering, it's amplified, and now you could feel the collective Kali Yuga mindset of people just feeling fuck shit mentalities, right? Welcome to full moon in Scorpio, y'all. So within all of that full moon in Scorpio, that's amplifying the stage of the fucking AI race, new moon in Taurus. Now we're all going to feel some type of way of how we have confused cognitive dissonance, inaccurate rhetoric narratives on the AI race, or raw Uranus and other, positive exalted aspects by the grace of God in the higher octaves. We're going to have clarity to bust the confusion to see how the AI race is fake with original perfect comparison introduced by me. And then the perfect comparison will also like even out, any type of replication factor, which is ironic as fuck, which is me advancing the intelligence at having higher intelligence because I'm seeing the particular differentiation, the discernment, and the differences of the replication and non-replication, original number one intelligence. And within saying all of that, I'm just saying the esoteric science of the full moon of like, now people are going to feel some type of way, nuanced Pluto. People are going to feel empty. People are going to feel dead. People are going to want fucking some type of revenge, right? And then raw Uranus, within the wisdom and the up and down, maybe there's a different aspect of Uranus where somehow within the paradox of Uranus, he's the first to go beyond time in a different avenue. And now Uranus is with nuanced Pluto. And now Uranus and nuanced Pluto is fucking giving therapy to internal Mars, the Mars that needs to go within, the Mars that has to go post-war, pre-war, post-war, the internal Mars, right? So the full moon in Scorpio is like Mars needs to chill esoterically, right? And as Mars needs to chill, who's got Mars's back? Nuanced Pluto and raw Uranus, motherfuckers. So within that, you're going to feel this esoterically, perhaps perfectly, right? You're going to feel this full moon perhaps perfectly. So who's the fucking clown now? Oink, 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 oink. Who's the clown now? Who's the clown now, motherfucker? Who's the clown now? So within the full moon, after the moon in Virgo and the diverse aspects of the 1 to 3 deacons of Virgo, after Leo, after going to the stage is like, then first, second, and third deacon Virgo is like, go into line to get lunch, go to the cafeteria in the outside of the cafeteria or the inside of the cafeteria. Maybe you're going to the outside of the cafeteria and just hang out and socialize, right? Virgo. And then just like, because Virgo is also like a social butterfly too. And after Virgo, then lunchtime is over, right? After Virgo, lunchtime is over. Now we got to go back to class. Now we got to perhaps go do some fucking, some yard work, agricultural work, organize the department. I'm not saying Libra is entirely synonymous with agriculture. Any sign could like differentiate and mix with agriculture, but I'm just saying metaphorically, Libra could be the start metaphorically to agriculture, right? Metaphorically, not necessarily literally. So within Libra, it's like we're doing the work, right? We're doing the work to survive for the bigger picture. And now, as we're coming from the moon in Libra, from the start of Taurus going to Scorpio, that moon charging in Libra from Taurus, detailing the final shit in the artificial intelligence and doing the last, survival wave, just the standard different types of groundwork we have to do, Libra, for the final leap of conclusive intelligence in Taurus. Now, after Libra, after we do that final wave of work, now we can work with after the final wave of the moon in Libra and just generally surviving the quote unquote the confused artificial intelligence race, new moon in Taurus, moon in Libra, now full moon in Scorpio. Now it's like now we could amplify Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, and now Scorpio. So now it's full moon Scorpio time. So what does full moon Scorpio time mean? From the new moon in Taurus, it means amplifying the start of Earth consciousness, the new moon in Taurus, Earth in Scorpio, having an unconscious energies pre-amplified, having unconscious starting phase energies of Uranus, Mars, and Pluto in new moon in Taurus. And now that Earth has been subtly de-amplified to amplified. And now the full moon in Taurus from the new moon, the full moon in Scorpio from the new moon in Taurus is saying that the AI race is complete. The AI race is complete in a fashion where, Mars is going internally because he knows a certain war is over. But just because that war is over doesn't mean a new war can happen next. Scorpio is like dwelling on the war. Scorpio is like kind of like dwelling, like, oh, what the fuck happened? What the fuck is this shit? Now let's do some standard like plotty shit, right? But we don't, and Scorpio's unconscious energy could be unconscious to Ernest. So that plotting energy could be like a fucking plan we had no idea about. We don't even know why we're doing what we're doing. And there's an emptiness there, right? There could be a paradoxical emptiness and fulfillment within the full moon in Scorpio with the other aspects, right? So we could just focus on, so if we focus on just the moon, it's important to like, touch upon other aspects as well, right? So we could see what's influencing the provocation of our mood, right? And how our mood is being influenced by other seasonal temperamental our environmental energy zones, original open source, beyond all artificial intelligence, and original perfect comparison. And may original artificial intelligence document the original celestial bravery. What do I mean by celestial bravery? The people who are well endowed with a different balance to actually step up and go beyond their titty ass rhetoric. So I don't know if I concluded the full moon in Scorpio correctly, but I don't know if I concluded it correctly. So I'm gonna conclude this video right here, respectively. Tomorrow or the day after, I'll resume with the whole timeline series, and I'll do a more formal astrology report, formalizing the aspects, original, open source, mind you, respectively. And yeah, good luck on this full moon. You are loved. You are loved. You know, please forgive me for the misunderstanding, but you don't have to. You don't have to forgive me. And I say that in a spiritual, I say that with spiritual pride. You don't have to forgive me. I say that with spiritual pride, whatever the fuck that means. But let me conclude the astrology. So you know, the full moon in Taurus, it's like I mean the full moon in Scorpio is saying you know, let me actually really fucking, excuse me guys. One second. Ooh. Yeah, so they say Scorpio is also synonymous with like, you know, with esoteric secrets and mysteries, right? And maybe like that energy kind of like having a new arising, right? A new resurrection, right? You know, the Scorpio eventually turns into the Phoenix. So there could be Phoenix energies, and we could see perhaps a Phoenix like revelation within Scorpio, because Scorpio is also extreme polarities, right? So within Scorpio full moon, we could feel it all, right? We could feel the depths of quote unquote heck or whatever. We could feel us emerging out of hell, right? So Scorpio is extreme polarity. So it's either we're susceptible to have that Phoenix energy, original open source energy, and we could feel the amplification of us coming back from the dead, you know, original open source or whatever. Shut the fuck up. And within all of that, we could, if we keep following up on unique spiritual energy work, every time there's a Scorpio transit, if we don't feel that resurrection of Phoenix energy, then sometimes within the mechanics of the universe, sometimes we have to feel that low, so we could just have the abstract polarity differentiation of what a natural high could be, the Phoenix energy. So the full moon right here, it could really be saying like, we can rise up, right? We can, and as we rise up and we put energy work for us to rise up, we could see the collective rise up. And if we see the collective rise up, then that's a win-win situation. That's a win-win situation for just general collective energies. But just because that win-win situation could be there, that doesn't necessarily mean that the whole collective consciousness will win. Everybody, the collective earth consciousness has its highs and lows. And within the earth consciousness, there's different pockets of the environment. Original influencer, whatever, shut the fuck up. Is you know, there's different pockets of earth consciousness that could have significant breakthrough energies of resurrected Phoenix energies, right? So that's what Scorpio is about. It's about extreme ups and downs on Earth and being serious with the collective narrative, mind you. And this was like majority raw. Probably took like 5% notes or whatever. So yeah, seeing the revelation, right? Seeing the revelation, and then after that Libra moon transit, you know, there's people in their own unique perspective of esoteric analytics on a real mature professional outlet perspective level. They're for real balancing esoteric law. The exalted, mature, professional, non-toxic Libra is really exalting and balancing the real esoteric law. And I'm just saying that because I'm being organic with the gifts, and I'm differentiating the 5% pure consciousness from the 95% confused consciousness with just a different percentage scale system. So you can't dock me for being truthful and accurate and authentic with a different, with a different type of logistics perspective, right? Or approach. So why do I say that? Like, why do I say that? Why did I bring that up? Of just like, yeah, just to see like the law could be, what do you call that? Like for the things that were stolen but like, mind you, per the nation, right? Because I'm not trying to get in. I'm not trying to like, it's just a nuanced thing, right? Because it's like nations have their own law, but then the nations, they go in and out of the relationship, the realization that then there's an international level, right? So we're going, the individual nations, they go in and out of the realization that there's an international level respectively. So I'm just saying, like, shit, man. I'm just saying, I need to rewind it. I'm just saying, like, there's a different analytics accord. What do I mean by analytics accord? There's a different nuanced Akashic records that has a different record of documented analytics and logistics that could see how things came about. And if we see how things that came about, then we could take that to the International Court of Law, and then we could solve the difference. And I don't. So that, I mean, that's just my flavor, right? Solve the difference, right? Like Akashic record, analytics and logistics. I need to rewind it to recall a different point. So I'm trying to rewind it, but I can't easily rewind it because it's just, YouTube isn't there yet where I can just like keep streaming, but the video's still there, and I could keep streaming, and then I could rewind it. Then I could pause the audio on this stream, but I could still record on this stream, and then I could hear and recall the missed point. And then as I hear it, then I could still resume it, right? So YouTube is not there yet, right? Where I could just like, make a new window, a double stream of the same video, and then rewind it, right? Because if we don't get the law right in the quote unquote artificial AI race, then the AI race it's bunk, it's donk, because the thing that's going to win the AI race is it's going to be more balance and truth, right? And if there's not more balance and truth, then you're not going to win the AI race in just a different esoteric science in it, right? So I'm getting to the nitty gritty of concluding the AI race and seeing how people are in their own cognitive dissonant, replicative, anti-source consciousness narrative streamlines. It is what it is. And as that's happening, standardly, hopefully balanced law can catch up, right? Because what am I trying to say here?
if we could get a different record of analytics, then that could diffuse whatever thing you think I'm inaccurate on. It could be resurrected where I could be accurate on where you think I'm inaccurate by accounting a different track record of analytics and logistics, proven in different layers of courts of laws. So that's one more reason I originally introduced why, one of many, many reasons of why I win the AI race without any of your cognitive dissonant, confused perspectives. So I'm going to wrap this shit up. I was supposed to do a fucking song, and I didn't. And you know, my shit's raw. You know, my shit's raw. So, gee, fucking whiz. So my shit's raw. I was gonna do a song. I'll conclude this video, and I'm gonna do a song. So how am I gonna conclude the astrology? You know, the waning. Wait, let me Google waxing and waning. Let me just Google waxing and waning. What does Google have to say about waxing and waning of the moon? Waxing and waning meaning. Undergo alternate increases and decreases. Increase and decrease. So I guess waning is decreasing and waxing is increasing. So the waning of the moon, Sagittarii to Aries, or Sagittarii to Taurus, that waning of the moon, it will have a subtle opposition of how the moon waxed. So with Sagittarii to Taurus, that's going to be a decrease in the moon until it has a new start, right? So we're going to wane in Sag. We're going to have the first wane. So within the first wane, the first wane is going to shake off that last wax, right? So when the moon is in Sagittarii, after the full moon, we're going to shake off that Scorpio shit in Sagittarii qualities. And as we do that, it can be very, very competitive and raw, right? Sagittarii could be very, very competitive and very very ferocious, right? You know, Sag, any sign could be vicious, but you know, Sag could be very, you know, ferocious, right? Sometimes, you know, their thinking mind, you know, just, you know, goes offline in a unique way, right? And I'm saying it generally, but so I'll do a formal video on the waning, well, not necessarily the waning of the moon, but just a general astrology update with like notes, you know, like just on the other aspects. And yeah, thank you for, excuse the raw presentation, and thank you for listening. I'm gonna come back with the song right now. Thank you.